Hey everybody, I'm Bobby. Welcome back to the Working Man's Whiskey. It's been a couple weeks since my last review, so welcome back. I'm glad to be back with you guys. We're finally at Buffalo Trace here. We've done a number of their products on here. Some of their more lower shelf stuff, I guess, Ancient Age, Benchmark, maybe one or two others. But this is the kind of the namesake whiskey for this distillery, Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's made in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's 45% alcohol by volume, which is 90 proof. So it has a little bit of I don't want to say a little bit more of a kick, but you know, it's higher proof. For me, higher proof usually means more character. The 80 proof stuff that we've done, it's all good stuff, and as you know, most of the stuff I reviewed, I would recommend. But you start getting up toward 90 proof, maybe 100 proof, and there's a lot more character and just depth to the whiskey. And anyway, as I said, this is 90 proof. It's also aged for 7 years. Buffalo Trace also produces one of the whiskeys that we probably won't be talking about, Pappy Van Winkle. I love Pappy's. Got to admit, I've only had it, probably a handful of times, but because it's not cheap. It's pretty high quality stuff, pretty top shelf stuff. So anyway, Buffalo Trace, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey right here, right there for our price range. This bottle was about 25 bucks. Usually you can find it a little bit cheaper than that, but I saw it at the store and couldn't pass it up, wanted to review it. So here we are. I want to open this bottle for you guys. Haven't even popped it open yet. And anytime I see this stuff, at a bar or a restaurant, you don't always see it, but I never pass it up when I do see it. So anyway, let's open it up. Give it a pour. We never want to cheapen the whiskey. Watch some of these reviews, and no offense to anybody out there who just pours a tiny bit, but I've got to enjoy it. Take several sips, so I never cheap out on it. Anyway, I want to read you guys the label too, because it gives a good amount of information about this product. So it says, the ancient past of countless buffalo led America westward. Legendary explorers, pioneers, and settlers alike followed these trails, known as traces, through rugged wilderness to new lands, new adventures, and newfound freedom. One such trace, called the Great Buffalo Trace, crossed the Kentucky River at a spot just north of present-day Frankfort. Early pioneers settled here in 1775, and with plentiful, pure limestone water and rich river bottom loam for growing exceptional grains, distillation quickly followed. With an unparalleled reputation for creating outstanding bourbon whiskey, the Buffalo Trace Distillery today stands as one of America's oldest distilling sites. The bold heritage of the mighty buffalo and the individuality and pioneering spirit of those early Americans who are again found in Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, the very finest bourbon created at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Traditionally handcrafted, Buffalo Trace has a smooth, confident taste that invites discovery with every sip. Explore Buffalo Trace and taste the spirit of legends. And some people claim that Buffalo Trace is, the oldest. It's the oldest distillery in America. The site where the Buffalo Trace Distillery distills whiskey, they've been distilling whiskey at that site for over 200 years, and it's changed names and owners several times. So I actually have a few notes here about that. I wrote, located in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's changed hands and names several times. It was owned by Harrison Blanton, Edmund H. Taylor, Old Fire Copper Distillery. It was the George T. Stagg and Oscar Pepper Distillery, and then and now it's Buffalo Trace. So yeah, they've been distilling whiskey there for over 200 years. Also produces Pappy Van Winkle. They also distill an estimated 2,650,000 gallons of whiskey per year. So a pretty impressive number. And they were also one of the few distilleries, I might have brought it up at one point, maybe for Buffalo Trace, maybe it was for somebody else, but there were only a few, probably, I want to say there were around 10 distilleries that were given permission to distill whiskey during Prohibition to make medicinal whiskey. And like I said before, I'm sure that there were some medicinal reasons to distill whiskey, but I'm sure not all their whiskey went to for medical reasons, for medicinal reasons. Anyway, so again, this was $24.99 a bottle, 45% ABV, 90 proof, 7-year product. And want to take a look at this. It's a medium amber. You can see that right away. It's got a nice char color. So take a smell. And this is just on the nose. It's a nice smell. It's you got that sweet corn right away. Some whiskeys you get that you get hit with that alcohol smell right away. It just kind of burns the inside of your nostrils. This isn't one of those. This is just, it's so nice. You get that corn and vanilla, and get definitely some rye spice, some oakiness from the barrel. I don't know what the mash bill is on this. I mean, to be a bourbon, of course, it has to be at least 51% corn. So I'd venture to say, judging by the smell, that this is a pretty high percentage of corn, followed by, mainly by rye, and then a little bit of malted barley in there. Maybe just a little bit of that. Anyway, let's take a taste. The taste, I mean, it kind of follows that smell pretty closely. Corn, sweet corn in there. Definitely have that vanilla in there. You get that little bit of that rye spice in the back of your throat, which is it's just a nice balanced whiskey, this one. Kind of get like a minty thing about this whiskey. A little, just like little hints of like mint leaf or something. It's a pleasant taste. Definitely. This one has a lot of character and a lot of depth, and you can definitely taste that kind of minty, minty flavor about this. So. Let's take another taste. And that oak, maybe some dried fruit in there. There's just a lot going on with this whiskey, and it's all good. It's very pleasant, very affordable, and if you can find this whiskey, they don't sell it everywhere around here. Usually have to go to, a store that specializes in whiskey, Bevmo or something like that. But I would definitely recommend getting a bottle of this. I mean, this is one of this is one of my go-tos. You know, be at a bar. You know, I mean, you see, I'll drink the cheap stuff sometimes, but as far as the good stuff you find in the bar that's not going to burn a hole in your wallet, you know, Buffalo Trace or Woodford Reserve. I also like Wild Turkey. Some people, you know, have things to say. You know, you got a reputation. You know, they haven't always been considered, you know, a high quality whiskey, but to me, Wild Turkey, very good stuff. Buffalo Trace, very good stuff. You know, it's a pretty elegant whiskey actually, especially for, you know, in the $25 range. And if you guys find this stuff, definitely give it a shot. Buy a bottle. Try some of their other products. There's a lot to choose from. But I would definitely recommend their namesake whiskey. So until next time, cheers.